Thank you guys for tuning into Spiritual Beauty Ministry. I don't know if you ever found yourself at a place where you say, you know what? I just don't feel like doing this God thing today. I don't feel like praying. I don't feel like being in his presence. I don't feel like reading his word. I don't feel like listening to no gospel music. I don't feel like being a Christian right now. I just don't feel it. And so I know when I found myself in moments like that, I will always find myself easily going back to old habits. I will always find myself going back to doing something or being who I know I shouldn't be and doing what I know I shouldn't do. So in that moment, what I had come to learn is that that was not a moment just because I was at a place to where I felt dry, that I was supposed to quench. I was supposed to go and allow things that were opposite of me to quench the thirst that they could not feel within me. See, when I was not feeling God, it was not because God had abandoned me. It was because God was transitioning and transforming me. But in that moment, it didn't feel like that. It just felt like everything around me was failing me. But what God was doing is that God was about to change something within me. And in that moment, he had to use that moment to do his movement. See, I did not have the willpower to give God the power, to give God the prayer, to give God the scripture reading, to give God me. So what I had to do was say, God, I don't have the willpower, God, but I do have the will. Just this much. I have the will to go pray. I have the will to do this thing, God, but I only have in that will, I only have this much to give you. But what God is saying is that even though in your will that you have to give me, you are willing to give me this much. That's all I need, because in your will, I can exert in you my power. See, when I was able to give God my will, God was able to give me his power, which allowed him to step in, and he was able to take over the willpower. The very thing that was trying to take me, God was able to step in and change it for me. So when you find yourself in those moments to where you are allowing your spirit to be silenced from you because you're look at the things that's failing around me, or the things that's doing this, or how you're feeling, or what you're going through, know that in the midst of everything that seeming to be surrounding me and against me, God is still using it to work for me. And so when I stopped allowing my spirit to be silenced, because when I allowed my spirit to be silenced, I allowed the enemy to speak to my flesh. And so in order for the enemy not to speak to my flesh and take me back to old habits, I had to allow myself, in the midst of those moments that I found myself discouraged or I found myself broken, I had to find something within me, whether it was small, to just say, you know what, I'm going to give God something. Because I don't want to be at the place I used to be. And that is how I began to walk in the change more and more that God said was for me. It's because in those moments, I did not allow those moments to have me, but I allowed God to use those moments to move what was within me so that he can change and grow what he was calling to come forth from me. So when you find yourself feeling like you don't want to do this, or you don't want to do this when it comes to God, those are the moments that you should put an urgency within your spirit to seek God, because you are on the edge of something that is either a breakthrough or a blessing, of a growth of something that God is doing within you. And if you allow that moment to have you, then you will not allow God to show you the very movement that he was doing for you. He was just using what you saw as dry to create a thirst within you. You guys be blessed.